Living in Pakistan. If the West and China want to help improve this picture, they need to develop an approach to Pakistan which recognizes the supreme importance of the country, but is based on real understanding of it and not on fantasy, whether of paranoid or optimistic variety. This book is an attempt to strengthen such an understanding. It is based on travels to Pakistan dating back to my time there as a journalist for the Times London in the late 1980s and on 5 research trips in 2007 to 2009, lasting a total of 6 months during which I visited all Pakistan's provinces and major cities. It should be said that, with the exception of my stays in some of the Pathan areas, at no point during my visits did I feel any direct physical threat, except from the scrappable local driving. And if you were going to be too affected by that, you'd have to avoid visiting about half of the world. Moreover, the Pathan areas are only a small proportion of Pakistan as a whole. It is worth stressing this, because one reason why Pakistan is so little known and so badly misinterpreted in the West is that so many analysts and commentators are afraid to go there, or if they go, to travel outside Islamabad. This reluctance to visit Pakistan is true even in Britain, which is organically linked to Pakistan by the large Pakistani diaspora, and it is largely unjustified, not to use a stronger word for this behavior. Of course, an unescorted visit to the tribal areas or a prolonged stay in Peshawar in unprotected accommodation might very well prove fatal. But it is entirely possible to live for months on end in a dozen other different Pakistani cities, most of the Pakistani countryside without, in my view, running any very serious risk. Researchers, analysts, and officials dealing with aid to Pakistan need to do this if they are to do their jobs properly. My own recent researches in Pakistan have been not nearly as long as I would have wished, owing to teaching commitments and a short deadline for this book. But they did give me a chance to talk to hundreds of ordinary Pakistanis from every walk of life, most of whom had never been asked for their opinion before by any Pakistani or Western observer or organization. The views of these voiceless masses form the heart of this book, and I've tried to reflect them as faithfully as I can and draw from them an understanding of Pakistani reality. This has not always been easy. I remember a conversation with an elderly leader of Awami National Party in Peshawar in 2008. In his garden were a pair of strikingly graceful, long-legged grey birds with crests. I asked him what they are. Flamingos, he replied. I don't think so, sir. No, you're right, of course. They're not flamingos. They migrate to Russia in summer, sensible birds, and they come back here again to lay their eggs. We hoped one of them was female and would lay eggs, but it turns out they both are males. So they fight all the time and stand at opposite ends of the garden sulking. Like Pashtun politicians, sir, perhaps. With a deep laugh. Oh, yes, indeed, unfortunately. But what are they called now in English? We call them conj. Turning to his staff, he asked, what are conj in English? And with absolute unquestionable conviction, one of them replied, swans. So, if in the course of this book, I've sometimes mistaken flamingos for swans or indeed, pristine Pakistani political swans for ugly ducklings, I can only plead in self-defense Pakistani society's ability to generate within an astonishingly short space of time several mutually incompatible versions of a given event or a fact, often linked to conspiracy theories which pass through the Baroque of the Rococo. Conflicted Pakistani relations with the reality notwithstanding, I am deeply attached to Pakistan, which has provided me with some of the best moments of my life, and Pakistan's people have treated me with immense kindness and hospitality. Pakistan is one of the most fascinating countries of my acquaintance, a place that cries out for combined talents of a novelist, an anthropologist, and a painter. But after 20 years of intermittently covering Pakistan, this is a clear-sighted affection. I have good friends among the Pakistani elite, but I also take much of what they say with several pinches of salt, even or especially, with their statements seem to correspond to Western liberal ideology and please Western journalists and officials. The problem goes deeper than this, however. Western-style democracy has become so associated over the past generation with human rights, wealth, progress, stability, that to accept that a country cannot at present generate stable and successful forms of it is an admission so grating that both Westerners and educated Pakistanis naturally shy away from it. Westerners because it seems insulting and patronizing, Pakistanis because it seems humiliating. Both. Therefore, rather than examining the reality of Pakistan's social, economic, and cultural power structures, have a tendency to reach for simpler explanations concerning the wicked behavior of malignant forces, whether the generals, the feudals, the mullahs, or the Americans. Seen from a long historical perspective, things look rather different. Modern democracy is a quite recent Western innovation. In the past, European societies were in many ways close to what of Pakistan today. And indeed, modern Europe has generated far more dreadful atrocities than anything Islam or South Asia has yet achieved. In future, who can say? The virtues of courage, honor, and hospitality in which Pakistanis excel do after all have their permanent worth. It may also be worthwhile in this context to recall the words which the science fiction novelist John Wyndham put into the mouth of a professor asked to give advice on future careers in a world threatened by radical climate change. He had two recommendations: find a hilltop and fortify it, and enlist in a regiment with a famous name. They'll be of use for you. Pakistan has plenty of famous regiments, and local chieftains have been fortifying hilltops for thousands of years. They may yet cope better with future than the successful elites of today's world.